Let's compare EveryDollar by Dave Ramsey to Monarch Money. The EveryDollar budgeting app really leans into that zero-based budgeting approach. This idea that you give every single dollar a job and you're very intentional with how you spend your money. Monarch Money has the ability to do the exact same thing with the zero-based budgeting approach and giving every dollar a job, but it's also designed for a much wider variety of styles of budgeting. You can really adapt it to your needs, which are going to change as you change or go into different phases in your financial life. As a financial coach, I help families find the best budgeting apps for them and help them implement a budget using these budgeting apps. And so I always review these budgeting apps through the lens of those families. Those families are often high income earners or really busy families with young kids, or maybe retirees, business owners, folks with properties that they're trying to manage, and just more complexity in their life. And so that's usually the lens I'm looking at when I review these budgeting apps. But I'll talk about the pros and cons of which and who they are best for and why you might pick one over the other so that you can make the best decision for you. So let's dive into it. Let's just kick off with pricing just because it's easy. So pricing for EveryDollar is about $17.99 a month and $80 a year. So it's clearly much better to do this on a yearly basis. So, avoid that monthly fee if you can, but if you have to get, start with that free trial, try it for a month, but absolutely move to that yearly base if you end up going with the Dave Ramsey EveryDollar. Monarch Money is $833 a month if you pay for it yearly, so $100 a year, or $14.99 a month. So clearly, again, yearly is where to go. You can often get a discount for your first year, and I'll have codes in the description as well to get a discount. I believe the code I have is a 50%, but it changes, so just keep that in mind, but there's a code in the link below. So, and I'll see if I can leave a code for EveryDollar as well and get you a discount there as well. So, what are we looking at here? So with EveryDollar, it really leans into the budgeting features, right? Like it's very budget focused. That's going to be where the most benefits are going to live when we go through EveryDollar. So let's talk about some of these features. So first off, just know that because it is budget focused, there's not a lot to do with like net worth planning. So you're not adding all of your accounts and your investments, your real estate. It really is just focused on budgeting. So that means you're adding your checking account, your credit cards, and things that you're spending money on. You're not really going to add a whole net worth picture. And that's in comparison to Monarch, where it really is designed to be a dashboard for you. So this is Monarch here. This is the dashboard, but this is the account page that you have in Monarch. And again, because Monarch is very holistically focused, so not just focused on necessarily strictly budgeting, it does have features to bring in your investment transactions and your investment balances to really get a whole net worth picture. You can add your loans, your mortgages, student loans, auto loans, all the credit cards, cash accounts, and your vehicles, your real estate, your property, like really get a whole view. You can connect a lot just through the bank connections. Monarch connects with MX, Finicity, and Plaid, while EveryDollar uses Plaid and Finicity. So one less connection, but I mean, as far as like connections for checking and bank accounts, they're pretty on par. I don't think you'll very rarely have issues with your banking accounts connecting and automatically syncing transactions. Both apps automatically sync transactions. You should have an easy time, but you can see that because EveryDollar is really focused on budgeting, Monarch has a lot more features when it comes to a dashboard or kind of one-stop shop to be able to check in on your financial health and, of course, make progress on that net worth growth. So that's one of the biggest key features between Monarch and EveryDollar. So let's go into the budgeting aspect. So with EveryDollar, again, this is where it really shines because this is where it's really leaned into. The budgeting features are very simple, which is a pretty good thing, I think. We don't want too much complexity when it comes to the budget, but it is very customizable. You can add different income sources. You can rename these. You can it starts you with some basic groups that are already pre-set up for you, like your bills and your spending kind of areas, but you can also add your own groups. Like I added a travel group just to see if you could add travel, you could add maybe properties or whatever you're trying to track for you. You can really customize that. And then you have your debt plans down here. Now, if you remember, if you're familiar with the brand of Dave Ramsey, they are very against credit cards and very against debt in general. So the budgeting app really does kind of encourage and enforce you to pay off that debt as fast as possible. The budgeting apps really are designed for you to pay those off. There are reports of people saying that they don't connect well to credit cards either, because they really are trying to get you to not use your credit cards. So if you are someone who really likes to use credit cards for points, I think it works just fine. I have, I tested on my budgeting app. This is a demo account, but I tested on my budgeting app for EveryDollar, and it connected to my credit cards just fine. And a lot of my clients too are using credit cards through EveryDollar. Those connect just fine. So I think they work fine. It is just maybe there might be some connection issues for some institutions. I'm not totally sure about Amex. So you might want to just play around with that and see how it goes. But again, with the debt, it is the goal is to pay that off as fast as possible. You'll have a debt schedule. It'll help you kind of make plans on how you want to pay that debt. All right. So you're setting your budget here. You can really input anything into your budget. And right here is what you have left to budget. So it's helping you decide what you have left to budget. In this case, I only have $49 to budget in this account. So I'm going to budget that $49. You can see now I've kind of given every dollar a job. I've planned for every source of income that I've inputted in here. And in this case, it was $4,900 of income. And so that's what my budget is based off of, is the planned $49. Now, obviously, if you receive more, or if there's any variations, you want to add that to your budget. Now, budgeting features are fairly simple. Again, you're setting that budget, but what's nice about these is that you can also set up funds. So funds are like sinking funds. If you've heard in my other videos, I call them sinking funds. This could be non-monthly expenses, periodic expenses, all the same words for the same things, but it's something like if your water bill comes out quarterly, right? You don't necessarily need a budget monthly, but you do want to add it to your budget because you want to make sure you're setting aside money for that. So you can set up a fund here, and you can say your current balance is 50, maybe you need 150 for the next bill. You can press save. And so what's going to happen is if you don't spend this $50, if we go into the next month, into September, you'll see that the water is now going to show that there's $100 left. So it took that 50 plus this 50 that we're budgeting, and we're adding into that $100. So it does have rollovers. It does build so that you can plan for lumpy expenses. So like your 6-month insurance policy, your property taxes, you can set up these funds, and it will help you plan for those expenses. Your budget does pre-populate, so if you set a budget for this month, it will just set, that budget can go forward into future months, then you can just edit the budget every month. So that is a simplified way to set up your budget. It's not going to change or have a wide variation month to month, but you of course can update this as much as you want. Now, something to be aware of is that with EveryDollar, your transactions are not automatically categorized. It puts it in a nice list here for you to go in and categorize. There's no rules or automations in place. So you really do have to touch and look at every single transaction, which is kind of a good thing if you're really trying to be very detailed with your budget. However, for most of the families I work with, or myself even, we're busy people. So doing this on a monthly basis can get really overwhelming, especially if you have lots of transactions. And so while I think it's a really good exercise to do for like a month or two, I don't really think it's a really sustainable habit for a lot of folks. But again, it technically really is the best thing you could do. If you really want to dial in expenses, it is a really amazing thing. So if you want that, if you know you need that help to really be hyper aware of your expenses, EveryDollar is going to be great for you. So it does help, like it does kind of recognize when, you have historical data, like it knows that, hey, Costco is probably going to go into groceries. So it does give you a nice little button you can push to make it easy. And you do that, then you can go on to the next one and keep going. So if I click on Taco Bell, I can decide where I want to put that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the restaurants category. You can, of course, split it. So if it went to multiple things, you can put multiple categories and split those transactions. And you can change the date as well. The other thing you can do is add notes or a check number if that's relevant, but you can add notes for the transaction. So you can say like out with a friend or something like that. Track that expense, and you keep going. And you keep going down that list. So you can see how it can get really tedious, but that is how you're going to track your expenses. That's how you're going to pay attention to what's going in and out. And that's how your things are going to end up in your budget. So now that I've categorized those things, it's going to affect my budget for restaurants or whatever categories I've put those in. So let's move on to Monarch to talk about those same features there. So first off, with budgeting, zero-based budgeting can absolutely be done here. So if that's what you're looking for and that's what you're kind of comparing EveryDollar for, is the zero-based budgeting features, you can absolutely do that. You set up your budget based on any income that you want. So if your income is $5,000 or $10,000, you set that amount. It is based on historical data. So it's really easy to see your historical data right at a glance. That's something I really, really like about Monarch. You have that 6-month monthly average every single time you go to set a budget. So if I were to go set a budget for my food and dining, it's showing me that 6-month average. I can set a budget for group levels rather than individual categories, so it can make it a lot less granular and a lot less work to maintain. Whereas in EveryDollar, if I'm setting up a budget for restaurants, it does show me last month's and to help me kind of create that budget, but it's not enough data, I feel like, to really make it super useful, because last month could have been just a weird month, right? But if you have 6 months of data, you can kind of decide, okay, well, I should probably budget this for my monthly average, right? So you can budget every dollar a job. Once you've budgeted every single dollar a job, it'll tell you if you've budgeted too much. So in this case, there is a little bit too much being budgeted. So we can take some random dollar amounts out of here. I'm just doing this really quickly to show you. Once every dollar has assigned, that's your plan here. This is your budget, and EveryDollar is set up. Now you can have rollovers just like the funds in EveryDollar. So if your water bill comes out every quarter, you can set up this to be a rollover fund starting in whatever month you'd pick. And when you don't spend this, it rolls over into the next month. So if you're let's just do $100 a month, or the 50 like I was using before. If you're budgeting $50 a month, next month this will show you 100. The next month after that will be 150. So it has that ability to do rollovers and funds, and to kind of plan for this like an envelope system, giving EveryDollar a job, and planning for your budget that way. There are actually 2 different ways to budget in Monarch Money. You have in your settings here also flex budgeting, which is unique to Monarch. The flex budgeting is more designed for 3 buckets: the fixed bills, so just your fixed bills in one section, and then you got your non-monthly. These are like the property taxes, your 6-month insurance policy, your travel, like the non-monthly, like kind of lumpy expenses. And then you have this flex budget. This flex budget is designed to kind of give you flexibility, right? Because every month is going to be a little different. And so you could set up one flex number, and it's just how much you want to spend for all of these sections. You don't have to set a budget for every single one. So it does give you lots of flexibility in how you want to budget. There's lots of different ways to budget, but you can still do that flexible approach. So when you go to your transactions, this transaction page gives you a lot to review, and there's a lot of features here to make your life a lot easier. Now, something to know is Monarch is totally designed to be automated as much as possible. It's trying to give you a lot less work when it comes to tracking your expenses, getting reports, getting your budget in place. So Monarch does its best to categorize for you. The AI does a really great job of figuring out, hey, Airbnb is probably in travel. So it does automatically categorize for you. You can also set up rules so that you can really just put so much on autopilot. There is so much that you can set rules for, and really in-depth rules, so that all of your transactions go into the right place. And if you have a busy couple months and you come back to your budgeting app, it's still valuable to you, and you don't have to spend hours and hours trying to categorize and clean stuff up. So as an example, as you're going through, you can, of course, change the category to anything that you need. These categories are completely customized, just like EveryDollar. You can drag, drop, rearrange. You don't have to have these groups. You can have any categories you want. You can have a whole group for business transactions or properties, or your kids' stuff, whatever you want. You can really customize this. When you change a category, you can also change the date. You can attach things to the goals, and I'll explain that in a little bit. You have notes for, so you saying like EveryDollar, you can leave notes in here, but the ability that EveryDollar does not have that Monarch does is tags. Tags are a really great way to do subcategories or to get more details on things. So like rather than having a category for Europe, which your Europe vacation or your summer vacation, you don't want to create a whole category for that because it's never going to happen again, or maybe it doesn't happen for a long time. So you might use a tag so that you can be able to track, well, how much did we spend on that vacation versus the other vacations, right? It's like tags are really useful. Or how much did you spend on the basement project versus the kitchen projects, right? Like that you can really get a lot of detail with your reports. You can also assign this to your partner. So if there's a transaction that you don't know, you can assign it to partner 1, partner 2, and they can review it themselves. You can add attachments, so like receipts or pictures, and you can also hide transactions. So lots to do here. Now, something to be aware of is the rules, like I was talking about before. You can set up rules to better categorize your transactions. So one I'm going to show you is like gas, for example. Let's say that you have a gas transaction, but you know that if it's less than like $20, it's you getting your kids getting snacks at the gas station, right? So you could change this to restaurants. Or dining out or snacks. You could create your own little snack category. And here's all the rules that you can create. So your rule is based off of some kind of criteria. So I can make my rule based on if someone goes to Chevron and the expense is less than $15, then I know that this is restaurants. This is not a gas purchase. This is when we're going to get maybe restaurants, or you could put it in coffee shops. Maybe you're getting a coffee for the morning, like whatever it is for you. You can also base it off an account. If it comes out of your kids' account, then you know that it needs to go to kids' expenses rather than your budget, right? So lots of customization there. You can rename stuff, add tags, put it in the review status, again, assigning your partner to review it. There's so many things that you can do with rules. So you can set a rule for your, when you Zelle a housekeeper, a landscaper. You can set rules for the checks that you write, as long as you know the dollar amount. Like there's so many things you can do with rules so that everything gets automatically categorized. Now, again, there's pros and cons to that. If you're busy, if you know you're not going to keep up with it, amazing. This is going to be the app for you. If you're like, hey, I'm really trying to cut back, I really need to be involved in every single transaction, then that's where EveryDollar is going to shine. One feature that I just found was so incredible was the paycheck planning. I really like this feature in EveryDollar. It's something that I think a lot of folks really want in Monarch or are hoping for Monarch to do. But this paycheck planner is really, really neat because you can kind of see, it'll help you figure out what your balance is and how you expect your bills to reduce your balance and when you're going to run out of money. So you can set up your bill dates. You can even set up variable expenses and just say, I get gas in my car, maybe every Friday, roughly. You can set that schedule and it's going to put it into your budget in that schedule. So you have gas 2 of 5, gas 3 of 5. So you can kind of see how your paychecks are going to affect your balance. You can see how your bills will affect your balance, and it will tell you if you're going to overspend. You can take into consideration a buffer. So if you started the month with some extra money, you can kind of play with that. I really like this feature. I really wish Monarch had something similar because in Monarch, we do have this recurring calendar. This is a really nice feature, this recurring calendar. It does list all of your upcoming expenses in a list form. You can also look at it in a calendar view. You can add a lot more in here. This is a demo account, so there's not much on there, but you can have your subscriptions, your utility bills, your credit card payments, money you send to a friend every month for a loan that you took out or something. I don't know. You can put anything in here, and it's really, really nice, but it doesn't give you like a estimate of your balance. It doesn't help you plan your paychecks. It doesn't really have a ton of functionality. It doesn't take it out of the budget. So and it's also honestly in Monarch, it's a little buggy too. There's some, not a lot of my clients use this feature in their app, but it is really nice if this is something you care about. If you like to see all your due dates all lined up like this, it is a very clean report here. For EveryDollar, the downside of this one is that it resets every month. So if I went into September, everything's set for the 1st again. It doesn't save your paycheck planning. So you have to plan your paychecks every single month. That would drive me crazy, but that is, I guess, the whole point of trying to get out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle is not doing this. You don't want to be planning your paycheck per paycheck every month. You don't want to be worried about running out of money or trying to get enough savings so you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. So I get it. I get why you don't have to necessarily do this every month, but it would be nice if we would have stuck with it. So you do have to reset this every month. So it can be a lot of work. It took me a while just to play with this one. So it can be a lot of work there. All right. So reports. Reports are another area that are very good to review as far as how you're going to want to use your budgeting app. With the reports, it's a very simple reports. You can pick your date and your time period right here, and all of your reports can be on the groupings of your spending totals for that time period. So if you picked year to date, that's your spending totals. If you pick a certain spending area, you can review like a 6-month view or whatever period you pick on like your groceries or your restaurants or whatever category you want to look at. So there are some spending details here. You can look at your the income based off of this. Now, it's hard, you can't isolate necessarily each paycheck at a glance, but you can hover over it to see each paycheck. So if you have variable income, bonuses, you can sort that out and get a nice picture there. And then of course your cash flow to show you the difference between income and spending and trying to spend less than you make. So the reports are very simple in EveryDollar, and that can be a good thing. But let's compare it to Monarch's reports, because I love Monarch's reports. So Monarch's reports can be a lot more complex and a lot more customizable. So you can pick, again, any time period. I'm going to pick this year, but you can pick a range. You can pick any time period you'd like, and you can pick which categories you want to look at. So this is a sand key diagram that's pretty popular as a view in Monarch. You can kind of see how much your paychecks are and where that money is flowing for the period that you've selected. You can see your spending in a lot of different ways. So as a nice pie chart, if you click on any of these, it will open up all the transactions so you can review them and see what you spent your money on in those areas. You can see a change over time as well as a monthly average. So you can get average spend. How much do you spend on a monthly basis so that you can plan for retirement, plan for change in jobs, or plan for change in bills, all of those things. You can view on a monthly, weekly, daily, quarterly level. Like, you can really get very familiar with your spending. The things I like is to be able to pick which kind of spending you want to look at. Maybe you just want to pick your discretionary spending, so lifestyle and shopping and groceries, and you just want to see what lifestyle looks like. Amazing, you can do that. If you want to run a report on maybe just business income, so business income and business expenses, you can do that too. Or like rental income and rental properties, you can do that too, and kind of get a little bit of a profit loss statement going. You can see your total income, total expenses, demo account, so there's not any business expenses in here. So you can see business expenses and you can kind of see what that profit loss is, and then vice versa. Of course, you could just do your paycheck and then your personal stuff instead. So you have lots of flexibility. You can run reports on just accounts. So if you want to look at partner one's account versus a credit card and partner two's credit card, you can do that too. You can pick a report on just the accounts. You can run reports on tags like I was talking about before, as well as even dollar amounts and a few other things as well. So lots of reports to get, lots of ways to view this data and to see, information about your entire financial picture. I love the reporting in Monarch. I think it's fantastic, and you can also save these reports as well. All right, last couple of features is like the goal features. I do like the goals a little bit more in EveryDollar, just because they are a little easier to use. You can really assign any transaction to the goals. As you select a goal, as you pick a goal, it will give you, you're going to get your dollar amount, how soon you want to hit that goal, and it will give you a amount that you should be putting in your budget to reach that goal. It's very simplified, very, very simple. The other thing that it has is this roadmap planning. Now, this is very Dave Ramsey focused, so like the baby steps are listed out here, but if you put in your information, your age, your extra, what you have available, your debts, it will kind of help you project how long it'll take you to hit each of these baby steps, or what that would look like, how much you need to be saving. So there are some planning features in here that I think are kind of fun if the baby steps things is what you're doing. I do think that there are other options to explore as far as progress. I don't think that baby steps are necessarily the be all end all, but it is helpful if that's your goal and you want to do baby steps. So this is really nice. As far as Monarch's goals, they have reporting. You can set up a lot of different goals, and you can change the photos to get like a vision board kind of going. But it is limited right now. Now there's going to be an update on goals. We don't know when. We're not totally sure what the update will look like, but goals is going to get an update. But right now, goals is really dependent on if you have an account for the goal. So if you don't have a savings account for that goal, it's really hard to use the goals features. So I hope this video helped you identify those key features that really differentiate the two budgeting apps, EveryDollar and Monarch Money. Please let me know if you have any questions, concerns, if you have any preference, or that you found any preference for these two budgeting apps. We would love to hear it in the comments. So please let me know. If you need help setting up a budgeting app, whether it's EveryDollar or Monarch Money, I am happy to help you. Feel free to reach out. My website is in the link below. I do also, if you do pick Monarch Money, I do have a very comprehensive course on how to get started and everything you need to know to set up Monarch Money correctly. So also make sure you check that out. If you do decide to go with Monarch, that is going to be the best way to make sure you do everything you're supposed to have the best success with Monarch Money. Let me know if you have any questions. Please subscribe if you're liking these comparison videos or if you want to know more about Monarch. And thank you so much.